Hello, girls. Today we are going to study about percentage. What is percentage? Percent comes from the Latin word percentum. The Latin word percentum means 100. For example, a century is 100 years. In Wikipedia, percentage is the result obtained by multiplying a quantity by a percent. So 10% of 50 apples is 5 apples. The 5 apples is the percentage. But in practice, people use both words the same way. Percentage conversion. You have learned this in your primary school. Like 1/4 is going to be 25%. 1/2 and 12/36 is going to be 50%. And 33.3%. And simplify 12/36 here by 1/3, and it will just be the same in percentage. 18% is going to be 18/100. You're going to use this 18 as your numerator, and you will divide it by 100 as your denominator. 23% is going to be 23/100. And 99% is going to be 99/100. There are words to check like of, is, by, and to. Sentence structures. Those words that I have mentioned in the previous slides is going to be here, like what is 20% of 80? 15 is 25% of what? 12 is what percent of 60? The words is and of here is seen. It's just used in different orders. I know you have a lot of questions in your mind right now. So let's start. First basic percentage question. What is 20% of 80? First thing, girls, I highlighted the word what, is, and of here, because I'm going to define it later how to change it into a mathematical structure. But first, you need to understand the question, and then change your percentage to fraction. So what here is represented by x? Is represented by equal sign. 20% is going to be represented by 20/100. And of here is going to be represented by parentheses. Of is usually used for multiplication, and we are going to multiply later. 80 here is going to be inside your parentheses because that's what we're going to multiply. Now simplify. X is equal to 1/5 times 80. Then it will become 80/5. X is equal to 16, and that is your final answer. Take a look at it. You can also pause the video so that you can copy. Next question. So the words of here is represented by parentheses, and the word is here is represented by an equal sign. Now let's take a look further with the second question. 15 is 25% of what? So understand the question and then change the percentage to fraction. 15 is equal to 25/100 because you change it to fraction. Of what? Remember, x is represented by the word what. Now simplify it. What we want to do is to make x alone here on the right side, but we cannot just transpose 25/100 to the other side because when we do that, they should be together. So what we're going to do is to multiply it with the inverse, 100/25, so that we can cut this 100 and also the 25. That will leave us x here on the right side alone. And don't forget, whatever you do to the right is the same thing that you do to the left. So we're going to multiply 100/25 to 15 as well. So this is going to be like this. Now simplify. It will become 4 times 15, and the final answer is 60. Next, the third question. 12 is what percent of 60? Again, understand the question and change your percentage to fraction. So 12 is equal to x percent times 60. Change your percentage to fraction. So 12 is equal to x as your numerator and over 100. Now, what you're going to do is to multiply this 100 by the left, and it will look like this. As you can see, your 60 is also multiplied to your x as your numerator. Then, divide it by 60 both sides, and this one will be cut. Now, simplify, and your answer will be 20%. Don't forget, the question is, what percent? Now, these are the summary. You can pause the video and copy it. You will use this later to compare to the next practice. So this is the 5% workout. These 5 problems you're going to do by yourself, and you will spend 10 minutes for this one. Use pen and paper and try to solve this. I hope that you copied from the previous slides. So you can pause this video now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, I think you paused the video, so what I'm going to do now is to show you the solution. First question, what is 12% of 60? So x is equal to 12 over 100 times 60. Then multiply the numerator and the whole number. Then simplify and simplify, and your final answer will become 7.2. If your answer is correct, then that's great. If not, then you can copy this beside your answer so that you can see where you got wrong. Now you can pause this video if you want to copy. Next, question number 2. 40% of 78 is what? So 40% is changed to fraction times 78 is equal to x. Multiply your numerator and your whole number, and then simplify and simplify again. So the final answer would be 31.2. Next, what percent of 38 is 15? So x percent times 38 is equal to 15. Now, what you're going to do is to change this into fraction. Then multiply your 100 to the right. And then divide 38 both sides. Now you have x on the left alone. Then simplify. The final answer will be 39.5%. You can use your calculator to check on this. Next, question number 4. 5 is what percent of 58? So 5 is equal to x percent times 58. Change it to fraction, and then multiply your 100 to the left, and divide both sides with 58, and you will have this one. Now simplify. It will give you 8.6, and 8.6 there is percent, because the question is what percent. Now number 5. 115 minutes is 76% of what? 115 minutes is 76% of what? So 115 is equal to 76% of x. Then change it to fraction. It will become 76 over 100. Now simplify. And then simplify. And then the answer is 151 minutes. Actually, it's 151.3 something. Alright, I hope that you have your idea about of and is for basic percentage questions. Now, what we're going to do is to use the by and to. So we will have reduced by or reduced to. When you say reduced by, meaning you're going to subtract. And when you're going to use to, it means you're going to from that percentage to the given or the question. So let's try. Reduced by. 120 reduced by 40%. First, again, understand your question. It means minus because we use the word by. So 120 minus 40% of 120. And all you need to do is to simplify. So 40% will be changed into fraction and multiplied because of the word of to 120. So 120 minus 40 times 120 all over 100. And therefore, it will become 48. So 120 minus 48, the answer is 72. So 72 is 60% of 120 because we deducted it by 40%. Now, try to understand this one. Pause the video because you're going to use it later. Now let's go to reduce to. 120 reduced to 30%. Of course, you need to understand the question. And the word is to. It means going to be blank percent. So this time around, it's 30%. Meaning, 120 is 100% and it should go to 30%. So, since 120 is 100%, it needs to become 30%. So, it means that we just need to find the 30% of 120. Don't get confused with this one. And it will be just like this. 30% of 120. Because we are just looking for 30% of 120. So 30 over 100 times 120, it will give us like this. And to simplify, it will become 36. Take a look at it and try to understand. Alright, let's continue. Now this was earlier, reduced by and reduced to. We're going to show how they differ. And we're going to show with the same problem. 180 is reduced by 25%. On the right side, 180 reduced to 25%. Now look at this. 180 minus 25% of 180. So it becomes 180 minus 25 over 100 times 180. And it will become like this. And then like this. And then it will become 135. Now reduce to. Since we want to reduce it to 25%, so we're just looking for 25% of 180. So just multiply it with 25%, and it will be 45. Now, try to take a look at this one with a reduced by. So if 180 is 100%, we need to minus it with 25%. So take a look at that. 100% minus 25% of 180. Now it will become 75% into a fraction and times 180, because when you reduced it by 25%, it will just become 75%. Then simplify it. It will become 135. And they will have the same answer. Alright, girls, there are some exercises that I have prepared for you. So check your Google Classroom and answer it, please. Thank you. That's the end of the lesson.